Today I'm going to show you how I turned this little C-mount lens into a compact macro setup. Hey everyone, Sean here with Fotodiox.com, and I wanted to show you a little compact setup I often use to shoot macro insect photography. This is a little Vignette 35mm C-mount lens. It's very light, very compact, and very cheap. I got this online for a very low price. I also like to shoot with vintage C-mount lenses, and the setup I'm going to show you today I use with vintage C-mounts too, but I thought I'd just use this little Vignette because it's so affordable and so cute, and it creates pretty nice looking images. Now, if I mount this C-mount lens onto my Sony a7S II with our Fotodiox C-mount to E-mount adapter, I'll show you right here. You just thread the lens on like that, and then mount it on like that. This is a really nice little compact setup, but unfortunately this lens is made for a tiny sensor. It's made for the sensor of a security camera. And because this Sony has a full frame sensor, this tiny little lens is going to totally vignette on the full frame sensor of this camera. We're going to see the whole image circle, that vignette. Now you can crop in a little bit, you can crop square and create kind of nice looking images. But in general, you are going to lose a lot of sensor real estate when you're adapting a C-mount lens to a full frame or even a crop sensor camera, because these lenses were never made to cover those sensor sizes. But with a little bit of modification, I can turn this lens into a full frame macro lens. And it's actually pretty simple. All I'm going to do is add a Fotodiox Sony E-mount macro tube. Now, all this is doing is it's placing the C-mount lens farther away from the Sony's sensor. And by placing the lens farther away, the lens can no longer focus to infinity, but now it can focus super close up. And also, because the lens is farther from the sensor with this macro tube, the image circle of this lens is larger, and it's large enough to cover the entire full frame sensor of this Sony camera. So yes, I'm losing the ability to focus to infinity. This becomes a macro only lens, but it now also becomes a full frame coverage macro lens. So it's super lightweight, super compact, and it can also cover an entire full frame sensor. So pretty simple to do. We're just going to line up the red mounting dot on our C to E adapter and mount it onto our Sony E macro tube. Lock that into place and then mount that onto our Sony. Now I'm not using the entire Sony E-mount macro extension tube. I'm only using two sections, the 7mm and the 14mm. I'm not using the 28mm section. I could use it. I could also put this in the macro extension tube, but then this would be such an extreme focus lens that it wouldn't really work well. I found that with this setup, with this specific lens, using the 7mm and the 14mm is really all I need to get a really nice macro focus. Basically, this macro extension tube is increasing the minimum focus of this C-mount lens so I can focus on subjects just a couple inches away, and it's also cropping in on those subjects to create really nice macro photos. Now, one of the reasons I like this setup so much is it's so compact and so lightweight. A lot of macro lenses are pretty big, pretty heavy, but this setup is really easy just to throw in a bag, take anywhere. I love to shoot insect photography. I actually do it almost every day in the summer. And I also like using wider lenses for macro. This is a 35mm lens. And when you use a wider lens for macro, you're capturing not just your subject, in this case, flowers or insects, but you're also capturing the surrounding location. And that's one of the things I love the most about macro insect photography is capturing the whole world around the insect, that macro world where the leaves suddenly become these giant like trees. Everything just looks so alien. And so yeah, if you're looking to capture kind of a more unique, almost like a landscape oriented macro photo of insects or flowers rather than a portrait orientation, which would be more like a 60mm macro lens or a longer than that. If you want to capture more of the world of macro, using a wider lens like a 35 or a 28 can be really nice. The other great thing about this setup is it's super affordable. This lens is only like 20, 30 bucks. This adapter is only like $14 and macro tube about the same. So you end up with a macro setup that's under $100, very affordable, and I really like it. The other nice thing is you can switch out this lens with other lenses. So if you have other Sony E-mount lenses, if you have other C-mount lenses, you can experiment. You can try a longer C-mount lens, a wider C-mount lens. You can do a lot of fun stuff with this setup. Okay, that was just a quick look at my C-mount to Sony E-mount macro insect photography setup. If you have any questions or comments about this setup, comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Also, click the links in the description below to get your C-mount adapter or your macro extension tube today. Also, click right here to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more videos just like this one. I'm Sean with Fotodiox.com, and thanks for watching.